So the big day is finally here, the day that nerds like me all around the world have been eagerly anticipating. We're finally going to get a Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League. So here in Australia, it comes out in around 6 hours from now. So I'm going to try to have that review up as soon as I can, so look out for that. So in preparation, I thought I'd rewatch Batman vs Superman, and this time around I would watch the Ultimate Edition, which I haven't seen yet. And I've got to say, it's really changed my perspective on this movie, because the first time I saw this movie, I really didn't enjoy it. But this time around, I actually did enjoy it a lot more, and I feel like the extra half an hour really does add to the movie in a lot of good ways. But before we get into that, if you want to see more videos like this one, please subscribe, and if you enjoy this video, please help me out and give it a like. So first off, can we just talk about the fact that when Superman is being his alter ego of Clark Kent, or is Clark Kent his real persona and Superman is the alter ego? Either way, when he's being Clark Kent, nobody manages to recognize him because he's wearing glasses. Like, seriously? I get that this is a comic book movie, so you have to suspend a certain amount of belief, but still, like, really, they could give him a better disguise, like he would put on a wig or something. I don't know. But anyway, so unpopular opinion, I actually really enjoy Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Lex Luthor. And I think one of the main complaints that I've seen about his performance is that people think he seems to be so eccentric and crazy that it takes away from the fact that he's meant to be this genius. But I disagree. If you actually listen to what he's saying, he actually makes a lot of good points, and he actually does make a lot of sense. Like, what if Superman was bad? It makes sense that they should have some sort of backup plan to deal with a bad superhero, like to play devil's advocate. I know he didn't really care about the planet and people, he just wanted to use it for his own interest, but still, like, he had a point. And yeah, I think you definitely did focus on the fact that he was doing crazy things with his hands and muttering and stammering when he talked. But I really think that that actually added to his performance, because you could see how clearly unstable he was. So I'm really hoping we get to see more from Jesse in the Snyder version, but we'll just have to wait and see. And that moment where Lex Luthor pushes Lois Lane off the building reminded me so much of that moment in The Dark Knight where we see the Joker pushing Rachel off. So I don't know if there was a little bit of copying going on there, but yeah, that happened. So one thing I also really like about this movie was the score. So just like in The Dark Knight, we had Hans Zimmer producing the score in this, and it was amazing. It really added to the atmosphere and the tension of the movie so well. So as for the extra half an hour, one thing I think it did really well is it sets up how we see Batman starting to lose faith in himself. Well, not so much himself, but what he's doing, because he says, like, criminals are like weeds, you pull one out and another grows in its place, and he feels like no matter how many criminals he takes down, it's not really making a difference. And he's starting to get a whole lot more brutal and violent in his approach to criminals, and we don't see it set up and fleshed out in that much detail in the original version. Like, it's not really as impactful as in this version, because in this version we can see where Superman is coming from when he thinks, okay, maybe Batman really is a threat, maybe he is actually a bad guy, and it makes sense. But in the original, it didn't really make sense. It seemed a little jumbled to me. With a good version of an extended storyline of a movie, like with The Lord of the Rings, which I feel like that is the extended version that a lot of people make reference to, but it's because it is done so well. I've seen it so many times now, I actually can't even watch the original version of Lord of the Rings anymore. I have to see the extended version, and I really need to see it on 4K. It just came out in 4K. But anyway, the point is that was an already coherent storyline. It simply fleshed it out and gave it more depth and more layers. And that's what a good extended version is meant to do. But with this, I felt like it actually, the extra half an hour made it a coherent storyline. It actually made the movie make sense in a way that it didn't originally. Like originally, there was that moment where Superman rescues Lois and people say that that caused him to kill a bunch of villagers, but it was actually somebody trying to set up Superman to make him look bad. When I first watched this movie, that didn't really make a lot of sense to me, that scene, but when I watched it this time, it made a lot more sense and it just came together really well. So I think this is a really good movie. The first one, not so much. Like, obviously it's still the same movie, you know. If you really dislike the first one, you're gonna dislike this one as well. But I had a good time watching it, and I think it was a really good setup for the Justice League movies. So like I said, look out for my Snyder Cut review, and please subscribe if you haven't already.